Hi, I'm Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really pretty pillow that's a slipcover pillow and it's got a ruffle on it. So let's take a look. Isn't this pretty? Now I'm using cotton fabrics, 42-inch wide fabrics, and the square on the front has a layer of cotton batting behind it. Now I'm going to flip it over and show you the back. And on the back, it's got this little flap where you can insert a pillow form. And I'm using a 16-inch pillow form. And then the ruffle here is just fabric, a strip of fabric folded in half, and I used a ruffle presser foot to get it to gather. So let's go over what you need to make this pillow. All right, so here we go. Now I'm using a 16-inch square pillow form. Now if you're going to use a larger pillow form, then of course you need to increase your measurements for this pillow. So for instance, if you're using an 18-inch pillow form, then all of these measurements right here, these three here, need to be increased by another 2 inches. All right, so for this 16-inch one, you're going to cut one square that's 17 inches square, 17 by 17. You're going to need 2 pieces of fabric that are 19 inches square and 1 piece of cotton batting that is 19 inches square. And then you're going to need 3 strips of fabric, 42-inch wide fabric that is 4.5 inches wide, and that is for the ruffle. Okay, so let me set this aside. Now take your square of cotton batting. Take the square for the front of the pillow. This is the 17-inch square piece of fabric. Center it within the cotton batting so you have enough cotton batting extending out past all 4 sides. Then you're going to do a decorative stitch pattern. Now it's kind of hard to see on here, but there's this little wavy line that goes from corner to corner, and then I went out and continued doing more rows on a diagonal. But let me show you what this is like. Now if all you have is a straight stitch, you don't have any wavy line, you could go side to side with all of your lines, and you could do a straight stitch and this is what it would look like. Now, if you wanted to do a wavy line like I use, you have this option on your pillow, or excuse me, on your sewing machine. This is what it would look like, and you just go side to side like that. Now, if you want to do the diagonal line, there it is. This is how it would go. You would do your first one down the center, and then go out on each side doing at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 more lines depending on how large your pillow top is. Then you would turn it and you would go the other way, and this is what it would look like. Okay, so those are suggestions for doing some top stitching. It doesn't take very long. After you do that, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to trim the excess cotton batting off. So you're going to line up your ruler on this edge, and then with your rotary cutter, you're going to trim the excess off, okay? There you go. Now you got it all off. You would do that on all 4 sides. Okay, so let me set this aside. Your next step is to take your strips for the ruffle. There we go, I got the correct end, sorry. Now, when you cut your strips out for the ruffle, you want to leave your fabric folded in half, selvage end to selvage end. That's this rough, usually white part on most fabrics. And you're going to cut your strips 4.5 inches wide. So you would line your ruler up on the folded edge of your fabric, line it up straight across, then do your cutting. So you're going to need 3 of these. Now once you've got that done, you want to take your strips and you're going to trim the selvage end off. So line up your ruler on the edge there and then trim that edge off. Do that on all 3 pieces. Now you want to take all 3 strips and you're going to stitch them together doing a 1/4 inch seam. Once you've got all 3 strips together, you're going to wind up with this great big loopy circle here. They're all connected. All 3 ends are connected to each other. Then you're going to go to your ironing board and you're going to press all 3 seams open. So you're going to open this up and press it with your iron, okay? Then take this and bring raw edge to raw edge, fold it in half, line it up, and you're going to press the entire length in half. You're going to go all the way around the circle, pressing it in half. And then once you've got it pressed, you're now ready to take this fabric and go to your sewing machine and do the ruffling. Okay, here's my ruffle foot. Now it's kind of a stubby looking little foot, and it's designed just to do your gathering. So this particular one is actually called a gathering foot. Now there is also a foot that's called a ruffler foot. It's a larger foot and it operates a little differently. Now this one is very affordable. I paid about $10 for it and I purchased it off the internet. So if your sewing machine store doesn't have one for your particular brand of sewing machine that you have, go out on the internet and you can probably find one there. Now not all ruffle feet or gathering feet fit all different brands of sewing machine, so make sure it's going to work on your machine. And you snap it on just like any other presser foot. You just put it in there, push it in, and it snaps in. Now you want to set your stitch length to the longest stitch possible on your machine. So go all the way up to the highest number. And when you're doing this, you want to go ahead and lower your presser foot and then put your finger behind and push against the presser foot as you stitch. So practice on a piece of scrap fabric first before you start doing it on your ruffle fabric. And I'm just going to go slow. And as I'm stitching, you're just going to keep pushing against the back of that presser foot. See how you can see it kind of bunching up back there? When it bunches up a lot, then just release it a little bit, push back in some more, and continue stitching. And just keep going and going and going until you've gone around the complete length of your strip. So just keep going around and around. And keep that finger back there. If you release your finger, it's not going to gather. Okay, let me see if I have enough there. Okay, can you see that? Let me twist this some more. So you can see how it gathers. Once you've gone all the way around, then you're ready to put it on your pillow. Okay, here as you can see, I've got my ruffle all done. Now if you find when you see some areas that are not as ruffled as some of the others, like this little spot here is a little, it's not all that gathered, and that will happen occasionally. So we'll take care of that when we go to pin all of this down. So don't be too concerned about if you have a few little spots that are not as gathered. So the first thing you want to do is take your ruffle and you're just going to fold it in half. See how I've got this folded in half. And at each halfway point, you're going to put a pin. See how I've got a pin there? And then I've got one over here on the other end. So you want to put a pin at both ends. Then take these 2 areas that are pinned, excuse me, I'm going to try, and you're going to bring them together, pin to pin. And then you're going to fold it halfway again and then put a pin in that spot. I got myself kind of tangled up here. So now I've got 3 pins in there. Go back to your first 2 pins right here and fold it in half on this side and put a pin. So you now have 4 pins. So it's kind of going 1/4 of the way all around the entire ring of the ruffle. Now I'm going to place the ruffle in the middle on each side. Okay, right in the middle. Now if you want to measure to find out the exact middle, you can do that. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, so just take one of the pin areas and place it down right here, like that. And place it right along that edge and place a pin. Then go to the next side and find the next pin that you just put in there. Here it is. And place it kind of in the middle. Like I said, you can measure to find your exact middle if you want. And then continue doing this. Go around to the next one. Make sure that your ruffle is not twisted. And I think my pin fell out. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to move this just a little bit. Place it here on this side. And then go ahead and pin down the last one. Like I said, make sure your ruffle's not twisted. And put it in the middle on the other side. Now I'm going to pull this towards me just a little bit. Now you're going to start pinning it around all of the edges. Now, like I said, in some areas it may not be gathered as much as you would like. So just kind of fold it in a little bit and place a pin on those little spots where it's not gathered enough. So you want to keep going across here all the way down. Now when you get to your corner, I'm going to move this just a little bit. When you get to the corner to pin it, you want to make sure you have a lot of gathering in that corner area, because if it's not very gathered there, your corners won't look as nice. The ruffle won't look as nice. So make sure you put some extra gathering in there. So you want to go all the way around. Now if you find you're just getting, there's just so much ruffle, you got a lot left over, you can go ahead and cut that off, then bring the 2 ends together and continue pinning it down until you're ready to stitch. Once you have it pinned all the way around, then you're going to stitch 1/4 inch from this raw edge. You're going to come in and stitch 1/4 inch all the way around 4 sides. Okay, as you can see, I've got my ruffle all stitched on. Now we're going to put the back of the pillow on, and the back of the pillow we're going to create an opening so that you can slip your pillow form inside. Okay, now before we begin to put the back on, you're going to go to each corner here, and it's real important that you fold this out of the way before you stitch the pillow back on, because you don't want the ruffle to get caught in your seam. So you're going to do this on all 4 corners. There we go, I got it in. After you've done all 4 corners, take your squares for the back, and I have cut my squares out with the selvage edge left on one side. And that's real important you do that, because this way you save yourself a step of having to fold over and stitch. Okay, this way it won't be seen. So this is the one time I like to use the selvage edge. So on one of them, you're going to take that selvage edge right here and fold it over 3 to 4 inches, okay, and press it with your iron. And then you're going to place this, the folded edge right here, you're going to place it in the center on one side. Okay, so lay that down, and you're bringing the front side down, facing down, placing it over the ruffle. Now take your other piece, the selvage edge here on this piece, and you're going to lay it, a little ways past this fold over flap. So go over here just a little bit, maybe another inch past it, and lay it down on top of that. Now, these fabric pieces are oversized, but you do it that way so that you don't want to come up short, because you've got this ruffle lifting the fabric up. So this way you have plenty of fabric to cover the back, and smooth it out, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and place pins around the edges. Now, you don't need as many as you did when you were putting the ruffle on, okay? Now, I'm just going to put a few pins for now so that you don't get bored watching me pin. So I'm just going to put a few more so that I can move on to the next step. Okay, but remember, you're going to use more than I am. One more pin. All right, so now you're going to turn it over. Flip it over to the front. Now, you're going to stitch all of this down, and you're going to stitch just inside of the, let me push it down here a little bit, just inside of this stitch line right here. So you're going to come in just a little bit and stitch right along this side, and you're going to go around all 4 sides. Okay, after you've stitched it all on, I have mine stitched on so you can see it's ready to go. Now, I've already cut some of the edges off, so you want to have it on the side that the cotton batting is on, okay? And you're just going to place your long ruler along the edge and go ahead and trim all 4 sides. And you can just save your scraps for another project, because there's always lots of uses for scraps, okay? There we go. All right, now you're going to reach inside. I'm going to turn over to the other side. And a good thing to do is, when you're doing this, is to, those little pins that were in the corner, reach in, and I would take those out, because if you try turning it right side out with the pins in it, you might poke yourself as you're doing it, okay? So just take all of those pins out. I've got one more to go after this. Now you're going to turn it right side out. Just pull it all out. Okay, and just tug on the corners. See that, how they'll just pop right out as you tug on them. I got a couple more to go. Okay, and there you can see your pillow. And then it's ready for the pillow form. So you're going to open this up and take your pillow form and insert it in. So let me show you the finished one. There we go. So isn't that pretty? It's what I like about slipcover pillow covers is they're so easy. If you get tired of the pillow, you want to change it out, you just pull the pillow form out and you can reuse it again on another project. Now, if you're interested in doing more of the pillows that are on the Sewing Room channel, at the very end of this video in the upper right hand corner will be a playlist, and it will take you through all of the other videos that are there. Now, if you want to keep informed on all the future videos, you need to click on our subscribe button. There's one down there in the lower right hand corner. It's red, it says subscribe, or you can click on the round little picture of my face in the upper left-hand corner. They're both subscribe buttons. Once you do that, YouTube's going to prompt you for your email address. Enter that information, and the very next time I have a new video, YouTube sends you a brief email with a big button in the center. You click on it and it'll take you directly to my latest video. I'm Cheryl, and I'm really glad you came to my sewing room, and I'm going to see you next time, and happy sewing.